In the shadow of a forgotten 120-year-old mill, a submerged treasure trove awaited discovery beneath the murky depths of an abandoned dam. Hidden beneath years of silt and debris, antique bottles, relics, and artifacts lay untouched, waiting to be unearthed. As an experienced diver descended into the abyss, what was relevant sent shockwaves through the small team of treasure hunters. What could possibly be hiding beneath the still waters of this historic site, untouched for over a century? The site in question was a relic from a bygone era, a mill that once thrived at the turn of the 20th century. Like many old mills, it was powered by the relentless force of water, with a dam constructed to harness this energy. Over the decades, as industry evolved and the mill's utility faded, nature began to reclaim the area. The once bustling site fell silent, and the waters of the dam settled into a forgotten stillness. But for those who knew where to look, the history embedded in the ground and beneath the water's surface was anything but silent. Old mills like this one, especially those powered by water, often left behind a trail of artifacts, tools, and everyday items that tell a story of a different time. The dam, in particular, was an area of interest for treasure hunters, an uncharted underwater landscape where forgotten relics lay undisturbed for over a century. It was here that a determined team of antique bottle hunters set their sights. Equipped with scuba gear, they were ready to brave the murky depths, hoping to uncover the treasures lost to time. The mill's age and the surrounding area promised a bounty of historical artifacts, but the conditions were challenging. The water was murky, the bottom layered with silt, and visibility was minimal. Yet, the allure of what might be hiding below was too great to resist. The plan was simple: dive deep into the waters around the dam, exploring every nook and cranny in search of anything that might have survived the passage of time. The diver prepared to plunge into the unknown, equipped with nothing but his experience and a strong belief that history was waiting to be discovered. With the mill's remnants towering above, the diver descended into the cold, murky waters. The visibility was poor, as expected, with only a few feet of clarity before the water turned into an impenetrable darkness. But this was no deterrent. The diver was experienced, having explored many such sites before, and he knew that the most valuable finds often lay hidden in the hardest-to-reach places. As he approached the bottom, the water grew even murkier, stirred up by the movement. The silt was thick, and every motion sent clouds of debris swirling through the water, reducing visibility to near zero. Yet he pressed on, feeling his way along the bottom, searching for anything that felt out of place. The first signs of something promising came when his hand brushed against something solid, a bottle. Carefully, he lifted it from the silt, feeling its weight and shape. Bringing it closer to his mask, he examined it in the dim light filtering down from above. It was a straight-sided Coca-Cola bottle, likely from the early 1900s. Despite the murky conditions, it was a beautiful find, its glass intact, and its embossing clearly visible. This was just the beginning. As he continued to explore the area, more bottles began to emerge from the silt. Each one told a story of a time when this mill was a bustling hub of activity, of workers taking breaks and discarding their drinks into the water, never imagining that these bottles would one day be valuable artifacts. But it wasn't just the bottles that were found. The diver also uncovered various metal objects, tools, machinery parts, and other remnants of the mill's industrial past. Each item was carefully placed into a bag to be examined later, but the diver knew that the real treasure lay in the details, marks, engravings, and other indicators of age and origin that would help piece together the history of the site. The dive continued for what felt like hours. The diver was meticulous, combing through the area around the dam, making sure nothing was left behind. By the time he resurfaced, the bag was heavy with the weight of the finds. On shore, the team eagerly awaited the results, curious to see what had been uncovered. As the diver emerged from the water, the anticipation grew. The team gathered around as the bag was brought onto land, eager to see what treasures had been uncovered from the depths. The first item pulled from the bag was a beautiful, straight-sided Coca-Cola bottle, likely dating back to the early 20th century. The team marveled at its condition, the glass still clear and the embossing well preserved. It was a rare find, a piece of history that had been lying undisturbed for over a century. Next came a series of other bottles, each with its own story to tell. Some were from nearby cities, their origins marked by the names embossed on the glass. Others were less recognizable, their labels long gone, leaving only the shape and style to hint at their age. Among them was a Dr. Pepper bottle, its distinct shape and lettering making it another exciting find. But it wasn't just bottles that were discovered. The bag also contained various metal objects, some of which were clearly tools or machinery parts from the old mill. One particularly intriguing find was a large metal piece that looked like it could have been part of the mill's original machinery. Its exact purpose was unclear, but it was a significant piece of the puzzle, helping to paint a picture of the mill's operation in its heyday. As each item was pulled from the bag, the excitement grew. The team knew that they were uncovering not just artifacts, but stories. Of the people who had worked at the mill, of the lives they led, and of the world they lived in. Every bottle, every piece of metal was a connection to the past, a tangible link to a time long gone. The diver, though exhausted, was thrilled with the results. The murky waters and challenging conditions had been worth it. The finds were not just valuable in monetary terms, they were invaluable pieces of history, each one a testament to the lives and work of those who had come before. The finds from the dive weren't just random artifacts, they were pieces of a larger historical puzzle. The straight-sided Coca-Cola bottles, for example, were more than just old glass containers. They were a symbol of the early days of one of America's most iconic brands, a reminder of a time when Coca-Cola was still a relatively new product, and its distinctive bottles were just beginning to become a familiar sight across the country. The Dr. Pepper bottle, too, was a significant find. Dr. Pepper is one of the oldest soft drinks in America, and its bottles are highly collectible. The bottle found during the dive was in remarkably good condition, its distinctive shape and embossing still clear. It was a valuable addition to the collection, a reminder of the brand's long history and its place in American culture. The metal objects, while less immediately recognizable, were just as important. They were likely parts of the mill's original machinery, tools used in the day-to-day operation of the site. These items help to tell the story of the mill itself, how it worked, what it produced, and the people who worked there. Together, these finds provided a glimpse into the past, a way to understand the history of the mill and the people who lived and worked in the area. They were more than just objects, they were stories waiting to be told. The mill, now a forgotten relic, had once been a vital part of the local community. It had provided jobs, produced goods, and helped to shape the economy of the area. But as time passed, the mill's importance faded, and it was eventually abandoned. Nature began to reclaim the site, and the mill, once a symbol of industry and progress, became just another ruin, slowly being swallowed by the land. But the finds from the dive showed that the mill's legacy was still very much alive. The bottles, the tools, and the other artifacts were a reminder of the mill's importance, of the lives it had touched, and the role it had played in the history of the area. They were a connection to the past, a way to remember and honor the people who had lived and worked there. The dive had uncovered more than just old bottles and rusty metal. It had uncovered history. It had brought to light stories that had been buried for over a century. Stories that might have been lost forever if not for the efforts of the diver and his team. Who knows what other treasures lie hidden beneath the waves, waiting to be discovered. Thank you for joining us today, and don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment, and turn on notifications so you won't miss our next exciting journey into the past. We'll see you next time.